Good morning. Good Friday film morning from, I'm sorry, I'm really like I've been up since 4 o'clock in the morning, folks. It's been a long day already. Welcome to Film Friday at HCC TV, Up to the Minute. I'm Randee Ramsey, Executive Director of Southwest Alternate Media Project and also an HCC film faculty member. My guest co-host today is Benji. Benji Escobar was here last week. Benji, welcome back. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
And I'm so sorry. I'm under caffeinated or something. And then today we have two great guests for you. We have John Swann, Dr. John Swann. I'm sorry, you work hard for that. So I'm going to give you the whole thing. He's the outgoing coordinator of the West Houston Institute. And we're going to interview him first. But first, I want to welcome Fatima, a filmmaker, director, writer. She does it all. She's Black Revel Productions is her film company. And she's also an HCC Adjunct Instructor in Philosophy and Humanities. And we're going to have Fatima back later to talk about her film. But good morning.
Good morning. Hi.
I'm so excited to have you here. And I'm so excited about your upcoming project. But we're going to get back to it. So thank you all once again for joining us. And Benji is an HCCTV videographer and filmmaking student, and he's going to tell us how to find us on social right now.
So you can find us multiple ways. We're live right now on the Houston Community College District Facebook page and YouTube, not just HCC, but Houston Community College District. But we're also on Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and we have our own TV channel, HCC TV, where you can catch us, the rebroadcast of this show, at noon, 5, and 10 p.m. Monday through Friday.
Oh, great. That means everyone can watch me being insane and under caffeinated multiple times. Way to be. Okay. Benji is going to talk to John, who's making his Swann song as our outgoing coordinator at the West Houston Institute. And I'll turn it over to you, Benji.
Yeah. So welcome to the show, John. How are you doing today?
Thank you. I'm doing really well.
Awesome. So congrats on your move to South Dakota. You've been with the West Houston Institute since after it opened, and how has that evolved since its creation?
It's been really good. We have maintained our mission. We've been very careful not to have mission drift. We've kept our mission, but we've grown more focused. One of the things that we do here is we do take our own medicine. So we talk to people about innovation. That's what WHI is here for. So we do the same thing. We use design thinking on ourselves. We reiterate our work constantly. And the biggest evolution then has been to really become more agile. We spend less time in the theory planning, and we become much more agile on how can we react, how can we try new things, and iterate through them. And if they don't work, then that's a lesson learned and we improve next time. And so we've really encapsulated this whole incubating idea and then accelerate it to get it moving. And so I think that's the biggest way that we've improved and evolved.
Awesome. So you coined the statement that WHI is to be generative, not cumulative. What's the intention behind that description?
So when WHI was established as the innovation center for HCC, there was a certain thought that a lot of people had because it was a new place and we have a lot of really cool parts to our programming. There was an idea that it was the highlight a highlight to get there, the culmination of work to get here. And that's kind of the opposite of what our philosophy is. Our philosophy is we don't want to be looked at as the culmination of getting here. We want to be the generation point to get out of here. If I'm going to put it in terms of a book, we don't want to be the climax of the old book. We want to be the first chapter of the next book. And so have people come here and think of themselves not coming here to cap off a career, but to start an entirely new journey and pathway.
That's fantastic. So with WHI's programs are also known for their 3 pillars: community engagement, student experience, and professional practice. How are those implemented there at the West Houston Institute?
So, that really goes towards, again, that comment I made earlier that we want to be agile and how we incubate and send things out. And so by looking at those three programs, we really have a complete kind of perspective on how education might be applied. And so like community engagement, we are regularly involved that. We have a grant with the federal government, the EDA Sprint grant. We're the only community college in the nation that got that particular grant. And that's a great way to connect with Houston businesses, Houston makers, create a whole network and consortium around that. So there's our community engagement. We also have conference support. A lot of people know about WHI's auditorium, but we don't just want it to be an auditorium. We want the events taking place there to have something to do with how we can grow and change as a college. Student engagement, we engage students in a whole different ways, whether it's through our makerspace, the Ideas Studio, or through our Ideas Academy, which is a really unique program that students can benefit from, that teaches them some of the principles of innovation that we use. And we don't want to just teach the students, we want to change the landscape of the faculty. So there's our professional practice, and we see that with our Innovation Fellows program and with our interdisciplinary work. And then that's just a couple of them, because many of our programs, actually all of our programs to one extent or another, are going to blend those different pillars. And that's, we keep it moving in what hopefully is an organic way, even though that term's become kind of overused, but at the same time in a way that very much reinforces those elements that we think are really what's going to transform education.
So the fall semester is right around the corner, and students, listen up, you can sign up now. So what developments are and plans are in place for West Houston Institute's fall semester programs? Tell us a little about that.
Well, we are continuing to adapt how we're interacting. We've had last semester, we had a partnership with the Interior Design Program, actually came out and made physical furniture, physical examples of their work, made some outdoor furniture that we now have outside that students and others can use. So we're going to continue to develop those things. We have reiterated once again our Innovation Fellows program. It always changes every year to some extent or another. This year we're adding in a lot more program development, something that can be developed here, conceptualized here, tested here, and then again taken out across the system. And one of our unique features is the Learning Space Initiative, which uses different style classrooms to explore how we change our pedagogy to better the educational experience. And two of our flagship rooms on that, experimental classrooms that we have in that, are both being tested out by faculty that are associated with WHI to develop those protocols. And this semester, when they test those out and develop those protocols, hopefully after this semester, we'll be able to open those up to a wider audience of HCC to develop those things. So it's really exciting. There's a lot of development going on. It's really, this next semester will be the culmination of a lot of previous work.
So like we said at the beginning of the interview, we heard that you're moving to South Dakota, and you're moving to a college that follows a classical education model. How will your innovation experience apply in this environment that you're moving to?
Well, a lot of people would say that they're kind of opposite, classical education going backwards and innovation going forward. But the hallmark of innovation, as we've expressed it and as we've lived it here at WHI, is just finding these new intersections, finding new ways to apply what you already have in new environments. And that philosophy and that approach to things is something that isn't packaged for one environment. You should be able to apply those mindsets in any environment, whether it's a very classical environment or a very progressive environment of education, because ultimately, innovation is going to be there when I come up with new ideas. And so there's a neuroscientist, Vivian Ming, I believe her name is, who posited that you should reinvent yourself every 7 years. So put yourself in a new environment, learn a new skill, master that new skill, and then do it all over again. So I'm just trying to take her advice and just be a year or two ahead of the time schedule.
Awesome. So with your leaving, are we going to have any celebrations? Are we going to have any, like a little party or something? Or like a going away party, I would say, not
I have been told that I'm going to have a reception this afternoon where we're in Northwest College at WHI's Collaboratorium. If anyone wants to come by and say goodbye, they're welcome to do so. If anyone wants to come by to make sure I'm really leaving, I'm sure some people are going to be happy to see that too, and they're invited as well.
All right. So one more question: how long have you been with the WHI?
I've been with WHI about 5 years. So
5 years.
Just like I said, about 2 years ahead of that 7-year time frame. But the innovators like to be up in front of the curve. So.
But you would say it was a great time you had there, right? I mean, you did so much for us and a lot of that. So we thank you so much for everything that you provided to the West Houston Institute and to the students as well.
Well, thank you. It has been an incredible experience. Getting to work at WHI it's giving you free rein to be creative and to try new things every day. And it's been a good experience that I definitely would not have gotten anywhere else but Houston Community College in the West Houston.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. John Swann, the outgoing coordinator of the West Houston Institute. And we'll have your info on our post after the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Swann. Thanks for all your hard work and effort and doing such a great job over at WHI. And thanks for being here this morning. And now we're going to move on to Fatima High, our filmmaker, our Film Friday guest, and, someone I'd like to think of as my friend and a colleague, but also a terrific artist. So I'm a big fan of your work. So I'm super excited to have you here. But let's real quick, you and I both adjunct at HCC, but we adjunct in different departments. So I never get to see you. So can you tell me about how you ended up getting into teaching philosophy?
Yeah, so basically, when I was studying at University of Houston, I took a few media production classes, but I didn't want to major in that. I wanted to do that as more of like an artistic hobby. And to me, like philosophy is just sort of like the mother of all disciplines. So I just got interested in doing that for my major. And so, so I ended up doing my master's in philosophy, and that's what I teach.
I think that your work shows your background in philosophy, though. I mean, I think it really does show your education in that area. And also, I don't know, I find your work really thought-provoking and taking a deep dive. So moving into your filmmaking, can you tell us a little something about some of your previous work? Like, we all have one. What is your favorite project? The one that you made and you're like, yes, that for sure is the way I intended it to be.
Oh, really? Wow. Because I think of everything as just like a certain time and place. So even the first student films, yes, of course, I didn't have as much resources or experience, but I still have a fondness for them just as what they were at the time. So I think recently, I'm very excited about the last thing I was actually on up to the minute for last year. I think it was for an anthology called Cryptic Triptych. And the cinematographers I got, the team I got for that, and the locations and things, it just worked out really well. And I'm actually editing it right now. And I'm excited about that. Although, like I said, I have a fondness for each thing just as its own like kind of time capsule of what it was what I was doing at the time, what resources I had, what people I knew.
I just always find like there are some things that you make and you end up compromising and you're like, yes, it's good. And I'm so happy with that experience because we learn from every experience and it's great. But like it's always like, well, if I could have just X, I don't know, maybe I'm too critical. That could be me. That might be my own personal, but so Cryptic. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I think you're right. But I guess I feel that way all the time. So that's why I don't feel like never satisfied, never finished, because everything's been like a learning curve. I started small, and I tell students to do that too, like start with small projects and keep building. So I always feel like I could have used more time, more resources, more, or a bigger budget, things like that. So
what about your features?
Yeah, so the first one I did was one called Abortifacient, which it's not a political movie, but it's so topical right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and then so that should be redistributed this year. like a mid-level distribution company picked it up. And then Cryptic Triptych, that anthology I was talking about last year. So I'm editing that now. That was the second feature. And the third feature is the one that I'm trying to actually campaign for right now. And that we're developing.
What's the name of that one again?
It's called Anna and Mia. And okay. It's basically about two girls that it's a psychological body horror. And it's about these two girls. They have a toxic relationship where they kind of latch onto each other, but they push each other into eating disorders. And the reason I thought this was horrific was because I thought it was terrible. There are actually groups out there that encourage destructive behaviors like anorexia and bulimia. That was news to me when I heard about it. I was like, wow, that sounds terrifying.
I mean, I think it is terrifying, and it's very topical. And you are raising funds for that one right now, right?
Yeah, we're about halfway done. We have 2 weeks left in the campaign. We're about 50% to our goal. So,
and where can we find that?
So we can put the link up, but basically it's a website called Seed and Spark. So the reason I chose them over Kickstarter is because they're film specific.
Yeah.
So they basically do a lot of indie films. So it's Seed and Spark /fund//Anna and Mia, ANAANDMIA. So we can put the link up.
We're going to put the link up and we'll have it on our post after the show for sure. But absolutely go and donate because it's so important to support independent filmmakers. I know Jenny Waldo, that was the platform that she used.
Yes.
Now, how did you find it working during the pandemic? Because I found it a little isolating and difficult.
Oh, sure. So actually what's funny is the Anna and Mia project was supposed to be done. That was the next thing up before the pandemic hit. That's why it's being done now, 2 years later.
Yeah.
So during that time, that's where I did like 3 kind of side projects. I thought of them as side projects. So the first one was a short called Count the Ways. And then the second one was a medium that we did as a cooperative called The Players. And then Cryptic Triptych was actually the third one out of there. So to me, those 3 were like detours because of the pandemic. So they were like smaller projects that we kind of slowly, as we came out of lockdown, that we got, that I was able to put together.
What about Animalia?
So that was done a couple of years ago. That was a medium length. That was right before the feature that I had made. And that went to a festival, and it's actually streaming on Tubi right now. If anyone
knows.
So I find that to be useful because Tubi is one of those, like, you can watch movies and shows, but it's ad-based.
Yes.
Which I like, because if you're a no-name filmmaker, no one wants to pay $2.99 to watch your little movie that they've never heard of. So they do take a chance on these platforms. So that's really, it works out.
I think you're not the only filmmaker I know who's got a film on Tubi that's been surprisingly successful for them. I mean, it's ad-based and there's a ton of stuff on there and it's interesting. There's more indie-based stuff. There's some stuff that you wouldn't expect. So it's nice. It's nice that there's a platform out there, at least, because sometimes it feels like you're stuck.
Definitely. I mean, it's nice because you can go digging. I mean, because it's a free platform, I go on there and I'm just like, I'll give things a shot that if I had to pay for them, I would, be more careful. But here it's like, oh, I'll try this thing. It looks weird or interesting,
Yeah, why not? It's free. I've got 5 minutes,
Exactly.
I'll give it a shot. And if I hate it, I'll turn it off. Right. Yeah. As opposed to, and it's weird because we'll blow $5 on a Starbucks, but the idea of spending $2.99 to rent a movie on Amazon Prime is like anathema to so many people. And it's like, is that not an $8 latte in your hand? Like, really? You can't just cough up the 99 cents? Really?
I know. I think people just don't want to pay for media anymore. It's like, they don't want to pay for music. They don't want to pay for movies. It's just generally like that. So yeah, it just feels different.
It does. Now, are you going to have any HCC student interns on your new film like you did on your previous ones?
So for Cryptic Triptych, I had one student that wasn't an intern. I had 2 other people that were interns. They were like in high school. And they approached me. I didn't go looking for interns. They were like, oh, we'd like the experience and can we do this? They were really helpful. But I did have a student that I actually hired. So he was he did some production classes at HCC at the filmmaking program. And so he kind of had a trial by fire. So because it was an anthology, Cryptic, Usually anthologies are written and directed by different people, but I wrote and directed all 3 of the pieces. So what I did was I got 3 different cinematographers. Yeah. And so he got to work with all 3 of them, and they're like top cinematographers in Houston, and he really learned a lot. I saw him at a few film events recently, so that was great. And then for the editing portion, I actually had a student that was helping me edit just as an editing intern. And that was really helpful. I mean, at first I was like, oh, okay. I wasn't sure how that would work, but we hit it off really well. And, a lot of the kind of initial legwork for editing helped with. So on the next one, I'm really not sure where we're going to shoot that. It's going to be somewhere in Texas. It really depends on the location stuff, but I'm definitely open to it. Yeah. I've been using
HCC students on some independent films, and it's worked out really well. I mean, and it's great experience. I just finished shooting a series of events at the Orange Show which you came to one of them, yes, which was a training for a lot of students, which I thought it was really well. It was really hot.
Yes.
Bless me, it was hot. So we'll be doing that again in the spring, thanks, when it's not quite so bad. But one of the things that I want to thank you for, and that is really personal to me, is I really love the way that you look at female characters, and the way that they're not two-dimensional or typical. So I think your work speaks to that a lot, which is both timely and important. I mean, do you set that up as a goal for yourself, or is that's just your voice as an artist?
No, I actually think that my characters, because I tend to be a lot more abstract in the way I write. So I feel like my characters, they're not that well. I think that they're atypical. That's the difference. Yeah. I think that they're atypical. They're not, if you've heard of the Bechdel test, which I don't know if the students have heard of that, but the one where females have to talk not about just guys and things like that. So they don't do the typical female stuff, but they're also not fully rounded. Like, I feel like I have a hard time making warm films. They're so abstract, like even Anna and Mia, for example, in a way they kind of represent the eating disorders and stuff. So they won't be typical. They'll be interesting. But I think that as I develop, hopefully I can make even more rounded, warm, fully fleshed out human characters. They're very symbolic many times.
Right. But I think that's just look, I think they're great. Like I said, I'm a big fan. So thank you so much for being here. Fatima, hi, filmmaker, Black Revel Productions, HCC Adjunct Instructor. And thank you so much for being with us again at HCCTV Up to the Minute. And we will have links to your Tubi and to your work in the post after the show. And it's always good to see you. Looking forward to seeing you around town some more.
Well, thank you so much.
And donate to Fatima's, even if it's $5, go to Seed and Spark and get it done.
Yeah, and there's a few cool little perks you can get in exchange for that. So maybe they'll incentivize someone.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Bye. Benji. And now we have some announcements. I know it's the most exciting part of the show for me. I'm going to do the first one. How about that? Because I'm under caffeinated today. Summer benefit enrollments ends today. So HCC's annual summer enrollment period for benefits, not classes. This is for the employees. It ends tomorrow, Saturday, July 9th. So make any updates to benefits before then by checking the My HCC page for information on general benefits, summer enrollment, and retirement information. And we'll have the link in the post for more after the show.
And then next up, we have the summer audio workshops with HCC's David Sharma. This 4-week recording course is coming up soon. It includes music theory, creating beats, sampling, remixing, and using Ableton's Live. That'll be noon to 4 p.m. on Saturdays, July 9th, 16th, 23rd, and the 30th at HCC's new audio recording studio at the North Forest campus. So you'll have the latest and greatest technology there. And we'll have the link to register for that on the post after the show.
And our HCC Verizon STEM Summer Camp is ongoing. in HCC Entrepreneurial Initiatives teamed up with Verizon to host another STEM summer camp to empower middle schoolers with next-gen technology, starting Monday, July 11th and running through July 29th at Houston Baptist University. Registration info is in the post after the show.
And then Mental Health 101, Lunch with NAMI, or the with NAMI. HCC's Counseling and Ability Services partnering with NAMI for its Mental Health Matters Luncheon for HCC students with staff and faculty. That'll take place noon to 1:30 p.m. on Thursday, July 14th. It's going to be virtual. Keep in mind, it's going to be virtual with HCC student Nicole Kwan as the presenter. We'll have the registration info on the post after the show.
I know. I'm always like, what does NAMI stand for? Acronyms are very hard. I know. And our creative license plates are still available. HCC license plates are back. Custom HCC license plates with a portion of the proceeds supporting student scholarships from the HCC Foundation. So you can help a student and get a really cool license plate on your car. Yeah. We'll have a link for more in our post after the show.
And I'll probably be rolling around with one of those on my car with the HCC logo.
Low riding, a little loud music coming out.
And then we have summer classes still open and fall registration is ongoing. You can still register for smaller summer semesters, but fall 2022 registration is going on now. Course options are still the same, online anytime, and you can go whenever you need to. But always, keep your pace also, because you don't want to leave that till the end of the semester and you're like trying to fill out the class. Online on a schedule. So like it says, online on a schedule, you'll meet up at a certain time.
Show up.
Then you have hybrid, which is a little bit of in-person and a little bit online. And then you have full on in-person the traditional way. And also hybrid lab, where you do laboratory and studio courses. So I cannot stress this enough, like I did on the last episode where I was on. Please register. Don't hesitate. Come on, students. We need to get back to class. Or if you're even thinking about it, you're watching the show and you're thinking about signing up for a few classes, go ahead, do it. We're a community college. We're very affordable. It doesn't hurt. So for registration to all of our HCC programs, just visit hccs.edu/apply.
And we'll see you back here on Monday for Mental Health Monday with Dr. Sean Fitzpatrick, the Executive Director of the Jung Center of Houston. And seriously, I'm going to need the Mental Health Monday checkup. And welcome to the return of HCC's Loya Ayers, who will talk about her new role at the Faculty Academy. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.